Chapter number 23. The Breakdown. 2 weeks after Sandra died, I watched in utter dismay and shock as footage of my beautiful daughter shaving off her hair aired on national TV. The look in her eyes as she stared into the camera was desperately forlorn, angry, and belligerent all at once. I just wept, praying almost incoherently that God would safeguard my daughter from harm. Just be with her, just protect her, I prayed over and over again. What in the world was going in her mind? Clearly, something inside of her had broken and needed to be healed. We, Jamie and I, Larry and other members of her team, felt she needed to check in somewhere and just chill. She was hurting so badly, that was obvious, and she needed to stop running from the pain and address it. The day before she shaved her head, Britney had stayed less than 24 hours at an offshore drug rehabilitation facility in Antigua, and obviously that had not worked out. We had heard good things about Promises, a rehab center in Malibu, where she could have intensive counseling and receive some blessed solace from the media hounding her night and day. I wanted her to go to Promises, but Britney didn't want to, and she was livid at me for trying to force her to. She ended up staying there for a month. When she was gone, I tried to help out with the boys as much as I could. As I stayed in LA for much of that month, I reminded them often that their mama loved them and would come back to them as soon as she was able. Kevin, meanwhile, was making all the right choices. He was a calm, caring daddy, firm with their behavior. Later, Britney would lash out at me, accusing me of siding with Kevin and letting him have the boys while she was at Promises. But I didn't have nearly as much say as she must have thought I had. Kevin as their father, and he had every legal right to have them. There wasn't much I could do. If it had been up to me, I would have taken Preston and Jaden home with me to Louisiana. When she is at her best, Britney is an amazing mother. After she had Preston, she was the most protective, attentive parent. I rarely saw that baby off her hip. She was always kissing him and singing to him and could not wipe the smile off her face. I never saw a mama so goo-goo over her baby. In good times, she is so excited and proud to be the boys' mama, and she is full of plans for what kinds of activities they can do when they are together, but during this time period, she wasn't at her best, to say the least. She got out of rehab after a month, and I could see right away that it hadn't provided the healing Britney needed in her life. All it did was slow her down a little bit, and her anger at me had not cooled. In fact, she refused to speak to me, and our estrangement would last an excruciating 7 months. It was hard for me to believe this much-loved daughter, my very heart, was enduring much pain in her life, and I couldn't be there beside her to help her heal. I was in a dark place, discouraged, and wondering how we could have come to this drifting apart. And now this total rift, everything I had prayed for, her healing, her stability, a true reconciliation between a mother and a daughter who had always been kindred spirits, had to come to pass. It felt hopeless, as though I was losing my grasp on my child, maybe forever.